Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name is Rachel Kennedy and this is Living the Denver Boulder Lifestyle. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Denver versus Boulder and which one is better for you. They honestly have two totally different vibes, and I'm actually really excited to dig into this because both cities are really awesome for different reasons. I'd like to remind you that I am a licensed broker in the state of Colorado, so as much as I love putting this content together for you, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So if you are looking to make a move to the Denver area or the Boulder area, hit me up on that number that is popping up on your screen below. I would love to hear from you. All right, so before we dig into Denver versus Boulder, please go ahead and hit that subscribe and that notification button that is popping up on your screen below so that you get notified every time I put new videos out, which is every Thursday afternoon. So let's dig into Denver versus Boulder and which one is for you. As I mentioned, I love both cities for very different reasons, and they both have very different vibes, and that's actually the first thing that I want to dig into is the vibe of each of the cities. So Boulder has a very eclectic, hippie, eccentric vibe to it. You'll see a lot of tie-dye, you'll see a lot of chacos, or like the material, like the water wicking material, because they might have just jumped out of the river from kayaking or something like that. So that's kind of the vibe that you'll get in the overall Boulder area. Boulder is known for being super laid back. I mean, like the entire population is pretty laid back. Boulder does have a small town feel with only 102,000 in their population count as of 2021 census, so that probably went up a couple thousand. It does have, again, that small town vibe. So driving through Boulder, you don't have any major highways that go through the city of Boulder. So if you live in Boulder and you're commuting to work in Boulder, you're not gonna have to hop on a highway. You will likely, have a 15-20 minute commute if you live in the city or in the town of Boulder. So total bonus for living in Boulder is that you will very rarely hit a traffic jam. The only time that you will hit a traffic jam is if there maybe is a bike race, a car accident, or construction. So now let's talk about the vibe of Denver. Denver's vibe is very much big city. There is the hustle and bustle. There is a ton of traffic. The city of Denver is much, much larger than the city of Boulder. The city of Denver has a population of 3.6 million, and we have 4 major highways that go either through, around, or across our city. So Denver has traffic. I think that's all relative, right? So if you're coming from LA and you're used to a 2-hour commute for a 5-mile drive, then our traffic will probably be a breath of fresh air for you. However, if you're coming from like St. Louis, Missouri, you may feel like Denver's traffic is super overwhelming. So if you live in Denver, expect to hit traffic in one of the 4 major highways that we have around our city. So as I mentioned, the overall vibe is big city vibe. We don't have the high fashion that you might find in LA or even Dallas. We tend to call our fashion Colorado casual. And I say that because like what I'm wearing is a long skirt and a tank top. I could go to dinner in this at a relatively nice restaurant and not feel out of place. We also have people that will wear like Louis Vuitton and dress up. So it's kind of just whatever you feel comfortable in, but I know for sure that Denver does not dress up like LA does. So one of the perks about living in Denver is that you have access to all of the big activities or shows, etc., that you have with big city life, right? So we have tons of concerts. Taylor Swift is in town this weekend for 2 nights in a row. That's a huge deal. We have our arts district that hosts Broadway shows almost all the time. And then we have all of our major sports teams that have complexes here in Denver, from the Nuggets, the Broncos, We even have a professional lacrosse and soccer team here, in addition to the Rockies. Can't forget the Rockies, even though they're not a good team. Overall, the vibes are very, very different. Boulder, you're gonna get that hippie small town feel. You're butted up right against the mountains. In Denver, you're gonna get that big city hustle and bustle. All right, so let's talk about location of both of the cities. Boulder is located just at the base of the foothills and actually goes up into the mountains. So Boulder has a very mountainous feel to it. When you're in the city of Boulder, you're not gonna be in the mountains, but just a 5-10 minute drive up the canyon, you are fully in the mountains through a canyon. So the cool part about Boulder is that you can choose to live in town and have, the restaurants and the coffee shops and the grocery stores right there, very easily accessible, 5-10 minutes from your house. Or you can choose to live up the canyon and be a little bit more remote, maybe have a little bit more land around you, and really living that Colorado lifestyle that I think we all picture. Boulder is located to the northwest of the city of Denver, which means that from Boulder to DIA, or Denver International Airport, you do have an hour's drive. So if you travel a lot for business, or you're gonna be at the airport a lot, keep that in mind. We do have a bus system that goes from Boulder into downtown Denver to Union Station that'll connect to the light rail, or there's a bus that'll go directly from Boulder all the way out to the airport. So you don't always have to drive. All right, so Denver's location is a little bit farther away from the mountains, but still pretty close. I mean, we have beautiful, beautiful mountain views from the city of Denver, but we are set about 30 minutes to the east of where the foothills start. What this means is that our city is relatively flat. We're not very hilly and in the mountains. And because of this location, we have the mountains on the west side of the city, and then we have plains on the east side of the city, which means that you will get a very different feel from the east side of the city to the west side of the city. If you are attracted to that ranch lifestyle, farmer kind of vibe, then the east side of Denver is definitely where you're going to want to stay. Whether it's to the north or the south, it all has that kind of same topography. However, if you know that you want to be close to the mountains, have easy access to the mountains, hiking trails, etc., you're definitely going to want to stay on the west side of the city. One thing to note is that our highway I-25 goes almost directly down the middle of the city. So we oftentimes use I-25 as our divider between east side of the city and west side of the city. So if you're looking and you want to be on the west side, make sure that you stay on the west side of I-25. And if alternatively, if you want to be on the east side, stay on the east side of I-25. And obviously Denver is going to be way closer to DIA, or Denver International Airport, than Boulder. From the city center of Denver to DIA is probably about a 30-minute drive. All right, now let's talk about home prices in the two different cities. These are going to be vastly different. And the reason being is that Boulder is a smaller town, and the city and county of Boulder has passed a moratorium restricting heavily new development. So it's not growing, which has made the housing prices go up consistently year over year. Alternatively, Denver has expanded exponentially over the last 10-20 years. Our housing prices are still relatively high when you compare them to the rest of the country. However, when we compare them to Boulder, Denver is far, far more affordable. So let's dig into those numbers. So the average home price in Boulder is just over $1 million. And rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Boulder is $2,022 average. When I was doing my research about the rents in Boulder, 58% of the rentals were priced above $2,000 a month. Now, Boulder is a college town, so they have a really large student population. There are a lot of properties that have been either split up into multiple units, or there's going to be lots of properties that rent out room by room. So if you're coming in and you're not really sure where you want to land, you're a single person, maybe renting by the room might be a good solution for you. All right, so I want to dig a little bit deeper into the housing prices in Boulder, because hearing over that $1 million price point is the average price of a home in Boulder can feel really, really scary. That would feel totally unattainable to me. So I dug in a little bit further. When I looked at listings in Boulder, there were 70 listings listed between 300,000 and 700,000. Now, these were all condos, either a studio condo or I think the largest one I found was maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That $700,000 condo price is going to get you a condo or a townhouse closer into town with some higher end finishes. And then alternatively, that $300,000 price point will probably need a little bit of work, maybe some zhuzhing. We all love a good zhuzh. All right, so now let's dig into the single family prices. Single families will start around that $500,000 price point, and that price point will get you a 1,000 to 1,500 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath cabin type situation up in the hills of Boulder. You'll probably be about a 20-30 minute drive outside of the town of Boulder. And then on the total other end of the spectrum, the most expensive house that I found when I looked today was listed at $15 million and sits on 5 acres and is just 10 minutes outside of town. When you hear that $1 million price point, don't let that scare you away, because there are other options. That's just the average. There are far more listings that are sitting between the $1 million and the $15 million price point than there are from the $300,000 to $1 million price point. Okay, so let's talk about Denver prices. How do those compare to Boulder? So Denver's average home price is $568,000. Now that's nearly half of what Boulder was. So if price is a concern of yours, perhaps considering Denver or even the outskirts of Denver between Denver and Boulder might be a really good option. Actually, I know it's a really good option. And the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in Denver was $21.12. Now I found this interesting because the rent in Denver is more than it is in Boulder. I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe it's because of the student population, but I found that fact super interesting. All right, so when I dug in deeper to the housing prices in Denver, I could find condos starting at $137,000 all the way up to $4 million. Now, that $137,000 condo is going to be a studio. It may not be in the best part of town, and it may need some work. Alternatively, that $4 million condo is going to be a penthouse right downtown in one of the elite condo buildings here in town. And on the single family side, the lowest priced single family home that I could find was listed at $290,000. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and it definitely needed a little bit of love. But if you're not interested in putting in work to a property and you want to buy something that is turnkey, there are single family homes that start around $375,000 that will be completely renovated. Those will be on the east side of town, bordering the Denver-Aurora border. And the homes over there do tend to be a little bit smaller. They are usually anywhere from 800 to 2,000 square feet. Some of them have basements, some of them don't. And then on the other end of our single family spectrum, the most expensive single family home currently listed in Denver is listed at $12 million. And that $12 million house is going to be a mansion in the heart of the city. So what I took away from this is that Denver is more affordable to purchase housing in, but Boulder might be more affordable to rent in. If you choose to rent in Boulder and you find it to be different, definitely let me know because I'm interested. But I also hope you hear me that those average price points are just average. And I hope you don't let those what can be considered high housing prices scare you away from moving out here to Denver, because there are other options. There is definitely properties that sit below that $500,000 price point in Denver, and there are lots of properties that sit below that $1 million price point in Boulder. All right, so that concludes my Denver versus Boulder. I'm really interested to hear which one you think is right for you. I hope this was helpful. Until next time.